Hello managers, as you know, I'm representing the Sports of Hope, and we are going within this introductory presentation. We are going to talk about two main themes. The first one is management functions, and the second one is management styles. So within the functions of management, we talk about planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. And then under management styles, we talk about directing, delegating, and discussing. So let's first start with planning. What do you understand when they say maybe a manager has to have this function of planning? Actually, planning, this is a step where a manager think in advance how to achieve a particular goal or an objective within an organization or the company. Here, the manager might decide what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and some things like that. Let's take an example of a task. Maybe suppose that working organization and an organization want to conduct a research. A manager might determine the place where to conduct the research from. A manager might determine the different steps to consider while carrying out that research. Even manager might determine the fixed cost that will be used within that research, like the amount of money to be used in that research. So let's talk about organizing. It's also another function of management. Organizing, this is the step which requires a manager to gather all different resources, to gather all different things that might be needed within a particular project to be carried out. It also involves identifying the activities and time to be worked on, assigning duties, or a manager might say, let's form teams to perform this activity. Even manager might delegate different tasks to different people or aids create responsibilities. So let's take an example. In this case, a manager might take an initiative to assign tasks to different members or team members and even give them the deadlines to accomplish their tasks. We are basing on the other first example of research. So in this function of management, organizing, a manager can assign tasks to different people. A manager can assign them the deadlines to have them complete the different activities. Let's move to the third one, which is staffing. So when we talk of staffing, we mainly understand some key elements like motivating, like retaining, like selecting, like training, and even developing employees. The resource said a human resource department have to help the manager within this section or within this function of staffing. Let's take an example. You are working on an organization. A particular employee maybe provide a very interesting deliverable. In this case of staffing, a manager might suggest rewarding. It might be financial rewarding or monetary bonus, or else a manager might give him another type of reward. But we could understand that staffing goes with motivating, retaining, and something like that. Actually, human resource management have to play a great role within this function. Let's move to the next one, which is leading. As you understand, leading, you help people to achieve something, which also involves motivating employees, communicating to the employees what is going on in an organization or in the company, and also guiding them on different activities. So let's take an example. Maybe you are a manager, you might assign a task to an employee, and maybe an employee is not able to work on the task. I gave an example of preparing a budget or a spreadsheet. If you come to realize that an employee is not good at that, you might take the initiative, you show him or her how things are done. This is part of leading. As a manager, you have to lead by examples. That's what we suggest to managers. So let's move to the last one, which is controlling. Within controlling, this is a step where a manager goes through different tasks he assigns to people. He or she tries to evaluate how things were done. So here a manager might establish the standard performance of a particular activity. Also manager might measure the actual performance of the employees. Also he might measure the actual performance with the predetermined standard and find out deviations. Within this case of controlling, a manager might think of or might take a collective action or another action towards the next activities. I gave an example that a manager might approach different members of which he assigns different tasks and then try to evaluate, see how some tasks were successful or how some tasks were achieved and the tasks which were not achieved. So from there I can take other further actions. So as I said, we are talking about two main items, and the first one was functions of management. Let's move to the management styles. Actually, management styles, we mainly talk about three, but the first one is directing. When you talk of directing, is a management style where a manager is the one to tell employees what to do, how to do it, when to do it, things like that. So we will be talking about the strengths and weaknesses of each management style. So talking of the strengths of directing, I found that it saves the time, because this is where the manager called the manager called employees. He immediately assigned them tasks without further discussions, complaining, nothing like that. So it saves the time. And again, manager is in full control of all the tasks. And again, activities are done on order in an appropriate way. As long as tasks are organized by the manager, he does his best to make sure that activities are done in proper ways. Again, no confusions about task divisions and allocations. As long as he prepared that task, allocated the tasks before, there's no confusion about employees. Which task am I going to work on? What task are you going to work on? And even it reduces conflicts among employees while dividing tasks among themselves. Sometimes you find employees having conflicts among when they are dividing tasks among themselves, but when a manager takes this lead to immediately delect tasks to employees, it remove all this confusion. So weaknesses of this style is that employees get little time for learning. Like an employee might say, I want to learn through working on this task, and when the manager came, he changed the task he should have assigned to the person. You understand that employees get little time for learning. Again, some employees may quit. Maybe a manager might come and direct a particular task to an employee, and employee say, I can't work on this task, maybe it's quite complex, or I'm not interested in this field. So an employee might quit the job. So this is another weakness this might have. So I gave also a scenario where this might work, this style might work. Let's say a company has a project that is working on, and maybe the manager feel like any small error that might be done within this project, it might lead to the total failure or the death of the project. This style can work here, like the manager can immediately direct tasks to people, maybe of which he or she trusts. In this case, it can save the company. The second management style is discussing. So I like this step. Discussing is where the manager bring on the table different tasks that needs to be worked on, and then manager give the room to the employees to discuss, share their ideas, hear from their suggestions, and then after draw the conclusion. So the strength of this discussing is that it favors learning, And again, much details are provided, much details about the tasks, like a manager can give different time to employees to give some information, and then they discuss on particular activities. Again, it increases collaboration, be it collaboration among employees themselves, be it collaboration among employees and the manager. I would say also it improves productivity, because people get to know insights from other people, which helps them to have different various ideas. Also, this helps employees to get detailed information about the task, and also support. It is easy to get support from others. So the weakness of discussing that, conflicts may arise. Let's say conflicts among employees when they are discussing about different insights. One might not understand others' views, hence conflicts. Again, it consumes time. The time for discussing, giving time to each and every employee, it can take a very long time. I gave a scenario where this can work better. Let's say when there is a difficult item to work on within a company, the manager might give the floor to the employees to give him insights, to know the constants, to know the downs and ups of that activity, which can help him to draw a better conclusion. So the last management style is delegating. So here is where a manager assigns tasks to employees, either independent work or to be worked in a group. So the sense of this style, I found that it develops the sense of independence. When they delegate a task to you, you really understand that you have to work on it, and then you develop the sense of independence. Also, it increases employees' confidence. As long as you are working on a task individually, it really increases your confidence. You say, oh, I'm good at this. Like you are able to work on a particular activity alone. Again, it improves employees' accountability. As long as you are assigned a particular task, it's on your head. You think that you are the one to work on it. So you have to be accountable of the assigned tasks. Again, this style promotes learning through empowerment, because people are given tasks in their hands and they perform them by their own. So in this case, employees might ask clarifying questions to understand the assigned tasks. So weaknesses of delegating style is that it consumes much time. Again, because people might spend more time searching information from others, asking clarifying questions, it takes more time. Again, some employees may lose details about the assignment. Since they assign them some tasks, they might lose more details about the tasks they are assigned to. Again, a manager might delegate a task to incompetent employee. Maybe let's assume a manager don't know when an employee, he might assign him a task, and later he realizes that an employee is not good at that activity. So I gave a scenario where this style can work better. Let's say when the organization has different tasks to perform, and some employees are not willing to volunteer or to participate at the very beginning. Here, this delegating task may work. Like a manager can immediately come and say, you work on this, you work on this, and you work on this. You can understand that it can immediately be done perfectly. So managers, thank you very much for your kind attention, and you hope you're going to apply some of the skills you learned from this introductory